All right. Greetings. Welcome back. Well, welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How's it going? It's Friday. I keep having to pinch myself that it's Friday, or I keep forgetting that it's Friday. Maybe it doesn't feel like a Friday, but it is a Friday. And it's Friday Fix today. And we're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Colin, and on Twitter. Ye old Twitter. As the OGs call it, we call it Twitter. YouTube gave you a notice? Nice. I have a fair amount of animosity for YouTube. Well, anyways, people are on Rockfin. Hello, people of Rockfin. William got in there right at the buzzer. I know I put up the show kind of late, so um, but we're here, and I actually made my time commitment, so I'm proud of myself for that. I said I would try to be here at 1, and here I am at 1, which isn't too far off the mark. So let's talk about a few things. And it is Friday Fix, but famously, well, Williams on Colin. What happens a lot on Fridays, not all the time, but Fridays are the day when, there's a little more interaction between me and the chat, and callers can call in and all that stuff, but a lot of times like nobody shows up on call in on Friday, so I don't know, whatever. Hold on. Hold on. We're all here, the gang's all here. And thanks for being here. Okay. The amount of solar radiation Earth absorbs is now over 2 watts. Is it 2 watts per meter squared? 2 watts per meter squared higher than from 2000 to 2009. And there's a handy little graph here. Oh, Jimmy Dore and Gray Zone are on at the same time. Is it the same time as me? Awesome. Great. I'm in good company, I guess. Apparently I don't have to fight for their viewers. I do like to catch the Jimmy Dore show live. It always is a good time. So anyways, here's the graph. Globally absorbed solar radiation. And looks like, all the other graphs relating to climate change and temperatures and population. It's all going up until it doesn't anymore, I guess. But here we are, way up here. And that was quite a jump, right? Between 2022 and 2023. That was a mega jump right there. Globally absorbed solar radiation. Anomaly from 2000 2009 average 12-month mean. Leon Simons goes on to say, of course, the ASR anomaly graph shares this position with the net flux Earth's energy imbalance, which is absorbed solar radiation minus outgoing long wave radion. Net flux is now 1.4 watts per square meter, higher than the 2009 average. It's all going up. Pasta's hosting. Well, Pasta hosts most of the days these days. I think he's doing a great job. And good for Pasta. Because I noticed that when Pasta was on the Convo couch, Pasta used to get a lot of, let's just call it a lot of shit. And then when Pasta was on AM Wake Up, he used to get a lot of shit. A lot of shit. And I was always like, why are people giving Pasta so much shit? He's really good at what he does. And now he's on the Jimmy Dore show, and he's killing it. And I have to say, good job, Pasta. Nobody's giving him shit anymore. That's awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's great when somebody, when you're good at what you do and somebody respects you, then you get better. If you just give somebody a little encouragement and don't like shit all over them, then like they tend to be really good. Or maybe that's the problem. Anyways, it used to make me sad to see Pasta get so much shit. All right. Anyways, what else? Pasta doesn't care much about Palestine? What? Say what? I don't know if I agree with that. I don't. That's not the vibe I'm getting from Pasta. Excuse me. Let's see if there's more here. The amount of absorbed solar radiation goes through the roof. This is just like a conglomeration of these graphs. Outgoing long-wave radiation has increased a bit to compensate. But the continued increase in greenhouse gas concentrations is now causing a radiative forcing of 4 watts per square meter, keeping most of the additional heat inside. Oh my. I discussed why these are the most important graphs in the world here. Media should really start covering this and explain it more clearly than I or NASA ever can. NASA and NOAA study finds Earth's energy imbalance has doubled. All right. Yeah, no, the chances of that, the media starts to cover this. Well, this is the media that's covering it. This is about all we got, guys. The energy imbalances, might have something to do why you get rapidly intensifying hurricanes slamming into Acapulco. But that's part of the equation. It's a big part. And we're also going to see with El Nino has, officially kicked in, and and the graphs regarding the temperature anomalies, sea surface temperature anomalies, and air temperature anomalies, and like we'll see. We're going to get an outpouring of heat from the oceans, is what's going to happen. And so we'll see where this all leads to in the immediate term. We may see some of the people, some of the the super duper faster than expected people, right? There's like faster than expected. Everybody exists on a spectrum. And there's I think a solid number of people, climate change aware people, would go like, yeah, faster than expected, totally. And then there's like the super duper faster than, the Sam Karanas and others who are like, it's going to be 8C by 2025, and maybe it will. I feel like that's a little bit of the reason why I don't put a lot of faith in that is because those same people have been saying that every year for like 5 or 6 years. It'll be 8C by next September. Like, after a while, you should probably learn not to say that. Probably shouldn't make those predictions because that didn't happen in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, or 23. It didn't happen in any of those years. And that's how long I've been watching those predictions. Actually, longer than that. So, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that we're in seriously bad shape. It doesn't even have to go to 8C for all hell to break loose. It only needs to go up to like 2C. I mean, look at what's happening at 1.5C. If we shot up to 2 or 2.5C in the next decade, all hell's going to break loose. We don't need the 8C or the 5C. You don't need to be scared by that. Be scared by 2C. But that's how it goes. That's history, right? There's outliers. There's extreme outliers. There's the super moderate. There's the super hesitant, scientifically reticent. Conservative, super conservative. There's the people that are, somewhere in the middle is generally like the reality zone, and the more people get into the reality zone, the more it moves the needle. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, it's one possible path, right? Sam Karana. That's why I say, like, I don't say that it's impossible for those things to happen. I'm just saying on a probability scale, it's way down the ladder. And the fact that you keep making those predictions every year, doesn't actually up it doesn't up your status in being a predictor, and it doesn't really up the probability of those things, every time you make those predictions. But nonetheless, it's pretty bad, And so, yeah, it's just one set of data, right? That's just an outlier. Like that's the most extreme, possibility. What we could see, 8C by 2025. Sure, and maybe we will. Me personally, I don't think so, but that's just me. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I don't know. Is somebody trying to downplay Acapulco? I saw somebody saying that they were hiding what was going on in Acapulco, and I was like, this is from a I think it was from the Dollar Vigilante, which is a, you know, your prototypical economic slash right wing slash libertarian slash conspiratorial kind of outlet. And they're in Acapulco, at least the guy I was watching. And he's saying they're downplaying it, and that, the intensity of the storm was such that it didn't look real, stuff like that. But he was also saying, like, well, nobody got any warning. And I was like, I actually saw, if you paid attention to climate change aware people, if you paid attention to people that paid attention to the weather, you would have been warned, right? They did warn people. It had rapid intensification. Whether they warned the people of Acapulco, in time, that, I mean, I don't know about that. Maybe they didn't. But I saw on Twitter before the storm hit, I saw plenty of people going, hey, this storm is big and it's coming towards you. So people knew about it. People knew about it. It's pretty rapid for sure. But the other thing, the guy that I was listening to, I watched a little couple minutes of this thing. I was also like, well, you're leaving out. See, this guy has no data, so you can't talk about climate change or talk about fake weather when you have no intake for what's going on at all, right? Like, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention to, like, all these major storms and extreme weather events. You're not paying attention to climate change. You poo-poo all of it. You don't take in any data. You don't take in any evidence. You just reject it out of hand. And then when one storm happens, you're like, oh, man, that was crazy. But he has no context at all for the storm happening. For the fact that, El Nino, well, for one thing, Mexico has been hit by, like, a rapid succession of really intense storms. So did he talk about that? No. That's part of the context. The other part of the context is El Nino is, specifically centered in the eastern, Pacific, right? Where does the warm water come from in El Nino year, right? The warmer water, wells up from the depths of the ocean, right? In where? In the eastern Pacific, right? So, which is where you would get, like, this warm, probably extremely warm water. You'd get the conditions to form. So, it's just like, dude, if you don't know anything of what, if you don't know any of the specifics of what you're talking about, you can't, like, just all of a sudden jump to, well, it seems like a HAARP controlled. Dude, you don't even know what the fuck, you don't know anything about climate science. So shut up. Like, before you get there, before you go there, why don't you understand, understand the big picture, understand everything that's going on around this storm, right? You're just, anyways. You're just like a barber. You're just weighing in like a dumb dude at a barber shop, talking about, well, I heard that they were ba ba boop ba ba doo, but, like, you don't know anything about anything. Anyways, and I'm seeing plenty of coverage of Acapulco. I'm seeing plenty of people going, oh my God, this is, like, nuts. This is insane. People who are aware of climate change, people who actually take in news about the weather or extreme weather events, they've been talking about it. They're talking about it. But if none of the alternative news channels, the classic libertarian truther channels, none of them are talking about Acapulco, or have been, because it's not convenient to them. It's just not part of their narrative. It just goes against their narrative. Unless they have something conspiratorial to say about it, they don't want to talk about it, because it actually, like, brings up the subject of climate change. And so they just leave that shit out, and they don't even know what the fuck to say about it. So it's like, yeah, if you live in those circles, in those news circles, you're not going to know anything about anything. Anyways, whatever. It's a little bit ridiculous that you go straight to the HARP thing when you don't, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of like, there's just so much information around this storm and the things leading up to the storm, and the fact that there's extreme weather events happening all over the planet, like all the time, right? Like you're going to single out this storm somehow, and why? Oh, they wanted to destroy Acapulco. Oh, they don't like, the most plausible reason I can think of is they don't like AMLO. They don't like AMLO. AMLO, he's chomping at the bridle a little too much. He's getting out of control. He's kicking at the stable doors. We gotta clamp. We're gonna destroy Acapulco. I mean, maybe, but like it seems. Anyway, whatever. It's just like not everything can be a freaking. Like, what's the point in this? What is the point? I mean, if you got a good one, let me know. I'll consider it. But you can't talk. If you're talking about one storm, that is definitely an extreme situation. But you want to focus on this one storm being somehow a controlled event, but you're not even paying attention to the fact that there's freaking there's been massive like 1,000-year flooding events like every week. This entire year, there's been a flood, like just massive floods going on all over the planet. Greece, Italy, Europe, China, India, Pakistan. I mean, it's just been insane. So if you haven't even paid attention to any of that stuff or talked about any of that stuff, and all, and then a major storm comes up and affects where you are, well, it's definitely a HARP control. No, I don't think so. I think you should, cállate tu boca and fucking do a little bit of like studying on what the fuck you're talking about. But whatever. Maybe it's HARP. What do I know? What do I know? Let's see. Meanwhile, the oil companies are, because they're such good guys and fossil fuels are the best and the greatest, and they're lying to us about fossil fuels, and oil companies are out there just trying to make an honest buck. Just giving energy to the billions of humans on the planet. Just trying to get that economy going. Those, the good guys, the oil companies, spend millions on U.S. lawmakers who sponsored anti-protest bills. So they're sponsoring they're trying to, they're behind all of this new legislation to, deem, well, first to break down, your ability to protest, and also to deem, climate protesters as also put them under the umbrella of domestic terrorists. So that totally means that climate change is a hoax, right? They're spending millions of dollars. They're going to the wall. They've already spent, all this money on think tanks and trying to figure out how to, convince the average, the averagely intelligent human out there that, climate change is a big old fat hoax, and it's just, and to be super skeptical, and, maybe the weather's always changing and stuff like that. Like, they spent a lot of money putting all that stuff out there. And people are like, I love this propaganda. Let me have some more. Let me just repeat this propaganda. Fossil fuel propaganda. This is great. While I'm telling people the truth about things, but like, I can't, big pharma bad, but big oil great. It's the same shit. It's the same shit on the left. Big oil bad, but big pharma great. It's like, I can't figure out who's running things. I can't figure out who to be mad at. I'm confused. Anyways. But it's happening, right? Like fossil, they're really going hard. They want to keep pumping this oil. They know where their bread is buttered. Right, right, Tim, right. Big oil bad, but we stand with military bases under hospitals, right? Um, yes. Uh, it's crazy how they have those military bases under hospitals, right? I mean, that's just wild. Who would do such a thing? All right. It's crazy how you got to target those hospitals because yeah. Anyways, I just find that funny. I mean, some people who are extremely good at calling out, you know, the bad guys and the corporations that want to control you and take all your freedoms, and they do. But somehow somehow big oil is left out of that one. Somehow big oil is just super cool. Cheap, reliable energy and stuff like that. I don't know. It's confusing to me. This is an interesting post from Jeff Biradelli. Worth a watch. Huge economic toll and huge recovery time. I was like, recovery time? Recovery time? This is, this is a hole in our thinking, I think. I think a hole is in my thinking. I think there's a hole in my thinking. Yeah, recovery. We got to build it back. We got to build it on back. Acapulco, you were great. So many tourists. So much economy. I actually did see, was it Peter Dines or Ben C, somebody, and I apologize if I got it wrong. Somebody did bring up the fact that they were like, this destruction is pretty horrific, but thinking about how much money they're going to spend rebuilding Acapulco is also horrific. And I had to retweet this one and just say, hey, you know what? If you actually cared about climate change, you would just leave this. You would just leave it alone. You just walk away from this. You'd be like, well, that's too bad. Maybe we should do something different here. We can't even conceive of like, well, what about there are people, I know all the arguments already. Well, there are people there that rely on tourism dollars they're going to starve. Yeah, I know. It's also people are going to starve when they can't grow food anymore. There's that. But you don't seem to care about that. I'm not talking to Jeff Baradelli. I'm talking to people who only have short-term thinking as a as a guide in their life. Maybe people there should figure out how to get heavily back into agriculture and maybe leave all the tourism dollars behind, right? Like maybe we don't need these tourism dollars. Maybe these tourism dollars are causing this hurricane. They did, actually. That's actually what happened. But, it was years and years of the tourism dollars. Decades and decades of tourism dollars caused this hurricane, which wiped us out. And we're going to build it back again so that another hurricane can come and wipe us out. That sounds smart. But nobody can actually connect the billions of tourism dollars for decades and decades, and this hurricane which wiped them out. Nobody can connect those two things. But if you can, and you should, because if you're thinking, globally, macro, big picture, climate change, this is where it came from and where it's going and what it does and what we do. If you're thinking about all that stuff, you go, you know what? We should just let this city, it's been fun. It's been a great time. Acapulco, loved you. Good time. Maybe we should all, just do the biggest regreening project, in this area ever, right? Let's just go back to, more basic ways of living and leave the tourism dollars, where they are. I had a friend once, and no shade on my friend. I maybe just hadn't really thought this one all the way through, but I had a friend who was involved in ecotourism, and I was like, yeah, super gonna save the earth. Those ecotourists, like, no. What we need is some super duper. Lightning quick anti-tourism ads. Like, no more tourism. No, don't. I know it sounds like a good idea, but no. And then everybody would be like, well, what'll happen to the economy? What about all those airlines that are going to go out of business? What about those cruise ships? Yeah. What about them? What about them? We have to think beyond the economy that we have. We have to think, of something completely different. And how many times has it been said, we've got to do something totally different. We have to completely revamp our economy. I can tell you that, energy efficient stoves ain't it. That's not revamping the economy. Energy, new light bulbs, that ain't it. I can tell you that a Tesla ain't it. I mean, you got a good point there, Tim. Anti-tourism better than COVID. Yeah, well, I mean, people can't even really, it's hard for people to hold those two seemingly opposing thoughts in their head, right? Like, okay, things that were done during COVID were not really great. It's a big upward transfer of wealth. Businesses were closed down, economies were ruined, blah, blah, blah. And, and you don't have to necessarily be a WEFer. You don't have to be like a Klaus Schwabian to go like, well, it actually was kind of good for the planet, right? Like the planet did. It was like that line in the movie. What is it? The Thor movie. I guess it was called Thor. I don't know. Thor. Was that the name of it? I don't think it was. Anyways, the premise of that movie, not Thor, Thanos. That's who I'm thinking of, right? The movie with the Thanos character. The premise was that Thanos was going to take out half the population of the universe because of climate change. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, what a crazy lunatic!" Well, yeah, it's crazy if you are like, I think the answer is to kill people. Like, that is crazy, and that's totally why they put it out there. They made that movie. That movie is like some serious, like, sleuthy propaganda, like undercover propaganda, right? Because oh my God, he's crazy. Who are you going to kill first? Well, half. I'm going to kill people for climate change. Like that's what they put in everybody's mind. Oh, these climate change people are crazy. They want to kill people. No, nobody wants to kill people. That was a premise in a movie that somebody thought up in order to to make everybody go, "What? That guy's bad. He's crazy." But the point I was trying to make was in one part of that movie, I think it was Captain America, the Captain America dude, was like, "Hey, I saw whales in the Hudson again. They're coming back." And everybody like looked at him like, "Don't you dare. Don't you dare say that there might be good things that come from half the population missing." And I think there were a few other lines about like, "Oh yeah, well I noticed some things are a lot greener. The earth is doing a lot better." How dare you? I mean, you don't have to be on the who you gonna kill first train. That's not, I mean, but you could actually see the upshot in a whole lot less human activity, and people will lose their minds because I said that. Oh my God, how dare you? Oh, 15-minute cities. You want to lock people down. You want you will own nothing and love it. I don't know. Somewhere in the middle of that is some really good ideas. Like somewhere in the middle of that, somewhere between Klaus Schwab saying that corporations will save the world and save the planet, corporations will save the planet. Somewhere between Klaus Schwab and people wanting to put people on CBDCs and 15-minute cities and lock down the world, and people over here saying like, a lot less people would probably be a lot less damaging to the planet. Or, hey, did you notice that there were a lot of, the birds came back and the fish came back when we were locked down for COVID? Like somewhere in there is like, somebody could have some ideas that are actually like pretty good. It's okay. Yeah, you can observe that. You can actually acknowledge that. Hey, when we were all not driving our cars around, the skies were a lot clearer, man. The skies were a lot clearer. We could breathe oxygen. And like the monkeys came out of the forest and like the animals came out and they're like, "Hey, yo, whoa, you mean we can actually like spread out a little bit? You mean we can come out here without getting butchered every time we stick our heads out of the forest cover?" Just saying. There were actually some positives. And you're right, Tim Bob, good call. There were actually some positives. The emissions, global emissions went down more than they will ever go down, probably, until they go down to zero. Right. More than they've ever gone down with 30 or 40 years of IPCC meetings and COP meetings. It's not that many. How many COPs have there been? 28? Okay. So decades of COP meetings and IPCC meetings haven't produced any dips in emissions like COVID did. Well, that's anti-human. I don't know. Maybe humans should just be a little less sure of their greatness on the planet. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be anti-human. I'm just saying maybe humans should take it down several notches. It's called being humble. it's called like having some, some introspection, some self-awareness. You ain't the best. You're not always right. You're not always doing the best thing. You're not always doing the coolest shit. You're not always like totally right all the time. You're not always a positive force on the world. No. You might actually be super negative. You might actually not be that, You might just be another bing bong in a sea of bing bong humans. And there are a lot of them. I'm one of them. I'm a bing bong. I'm a total fucking bing bong. I'm an idiot. Anyways. What was that? There's a great line. It's a Charles Bukowski line. From Barfly, right? She's like, "You don't like people," and he's like, "They kind of like the cops." I don't hate the cops. I just feel better when they're not around. I don't hate people. I just feel better when they're not around. Anyways, what's up, William? How you doing? Give me a sec. You there?
Yeah, pardon me. Yeah, can you hear me okay, Kev?
Yeah. How's it going?
Good. Well, I just want to make you aware of some articles I put in the chat, and after you have a chance to read them next week or something, if you do want to talk about them, just let me know. But I want to give you who Alan Sabrowski is and what articles are there. And rather than me take this room in a direction, I'll wait for your cue, okay?
Okay. Okay. Cool. How you doing today, William?
Okay. I had a trip. They picked me up with an ambulance and what they call lift here and brought me in to have my hips re-x-rayed.
Oh
And
shit.
yeah, I got them both replaced. And they gave away the disability housing because my last x-ray was 4 years ago and they needed something more current by the time I got an appointment arranged. It's been 2 years waiting for disability housing and now it's gone. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, Kev, I'll just say this. Can bone on bone, end stage, degenerative joint disease, both hips, you need hip replacement, get better by itself in 4 years? No. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, and they want me to get to a bullet weight based on a wall chart, not on calipers. You know, in other words, oh, your BMI is X amount because you're this tall and you're this big. I'm like, well, how do you know what my
Huh.
BMI is?
Okay.
I worked out my whole life, you know, and I still keep, I'm like 360 pounds, but I mean, I guess on the NFL, the CFL, you know, I worked out my whole life. I'm not someone who hung out and weighs 360 and never worked out. So can we use some calibers? No, we go by the chart. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Did they not want to do the surgery or what?
I
You
guess
know,
sounds that way.
it's asinine.
Yeah.
You have to get to this body weight based on your wall chart. Well, how do you know what my BMI is? You have no idea. You know what I mean by that, right? Like they usually put calipers on you and take a pinch test in 3 to 7 places, depending on which formula they want to use.
Right.
So you get
Right.
something somewhat accurate. You know?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Nope,
I hear you.
not, neither major medical clinic will do anything rational. Nope, we go by the wall chart. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So I got to lose another 60, 80 pounds. I've lost 40, but I'm like, well, maybe I'm like only 10 pounds from being there. We don't know. You know, I mean, kid, I
Sure.
just, nonsense. So in the
Sure.
meantime, I don't want to. Well, I'm stuck on the second floor. I can't get up and down the stairs on my own anymore. I've been stranded up there for like
Oh,
two and a half
damn it.
years.
Damn it, man.
Yeah. So I appreciate your show because without that, I'd be like, you know, watching something, but
Right.
you
I
know,
hear you.
something to interact with a human being. You know, what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you
No, I'm
know,
sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, William. Shoot. You have
so did they?
anybody that come by and like keep you company for a second?
No. My brother is on the West Coast. So is my stepsister and my friend. Chris died after a second shot. Remember, I told you the kid who
Yeah.
major 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Major coronary in the parking lot after a second shot. Not immediately after, but within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So he was one person who came back. But you know what? I'm alive,
Yeah.
and that's therapeutic about calling. One thing that people don't often realize that just to be able to contact with somebody in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear you,
And
man.
talk about issues like this that nobody's going to want to talk about, you know,
I
which
hear
is
you.
shameful.
Yeah,
But
I
you
mean,
know,
and in that same way, like it's kind of it is a blessing to. I mean, I spend the rest of my day thinking and about other things and totally talking to people about other things. Like I never talk to anybody about this stuff. Like rarely,
right,
if ever. And so
I know,
this is kind of my this is my outlet
right?
for like, hey, I got something to to say about what's going on in the world and
Amen.
how what's really going on, I guess. And so yeah, this is my foray into social media, and the rest of the day I pretty much avoid it. Like I pretty much avoid all social media in general. Very rare practitioner of social media, but
And until I got housebound, I was never on anything like this. But then, you know, I like to stay active and interacting with people, as you can tell. And
sure.
I do not, I have no, this is where I was my whole life. It's like, I just want to know the truth. I'm not, I don't care about taboo issues, whether it's taboo or it's socially, you know, appropriate, blah, blah, blah. And so, no, I cut through everything. I just want to look at it and examine it and, you know, try and research the good people and get to the bottom of things. Because otherwise, we just, history repeats itself, like we're seeing
Yeah.
all the time. You know
Well,
what I mean? Just, yeah.
well, and the other thing, I mean, that I say this all the time, like we are a focus group, right? And so yes, they are watching us or they are listening to us or whatever, right? Like you're being monitored, what you're saying, but it's you actually have it actually adds, I mean, acts as a, right, it's kind of like a megaphone, right? And you may, there have been instances in the last few years where I've noticed, you know that the powers that be actually reacted to what everybody was feeling and thinking.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a hive mind kind of a focus group kind of effect, right? So they would push in a certain direction or push a story out, and there would just be this giant like no, right? Like no, and then they would kind of they'd kind of walk it back a little bit, and
Right.
I would see that happen, and I'd go, all right, so we actually do have, there's something, there is actually something beneficial and positive just to saying what you got to say and talking about these things that that they would prefer you not to talk about, but when you're talking about it online, like it does, as much as they want to control it, it does have the ability. We all kind of, we all have antenna, right? And we're all kind of like people. There is this kind of like connection, not just technologically, but there's like a I'm gonna get woo, right? But there's like a spiritual, energetic connection that people have, right? And so you got people talking about things that they were never talking about 20 or 30 years ago, and it makes it difficult for them to actually, like, they see when people are like, oh, okay, I see that the game is, I see what's going on there. You guys aren't really going to have a good, you're not going to have an easy time getting away with this, and so I see them responding to
I
that.
think, and one simple, pardon me, it's a little off subject, but it's not really. The vaccine uptake is what now, 3%, right? For example, the I think it is only 3% as far as any of the latest whatever
Less
Biden
than that.
less.
Less,
Yeah,
like 1.2% or something like
is
that.
it that low? See, there you go. Yeah, yeah. It's not about world wars or anything, but it shows how the information can take it away from the mainstream media, pounding it, and then there's this whole other,
Well,
social media.
look what's I mean, here's another kind of incredible thing that's happening is that social media and alternative media are so powerful that they're actually infiltrating. They're actually steering some of the the
right,
discourse on mainstream media now, right? Like
yeah,
look how many, not so much here, but a little bit here. You see actually sometimes on mainstream media now you see them kind of, going to the other side, right? Like kind of, even what's the guy Piers in UK, Piers Morgan.
working.
He's having all these like very radical people come on because he realizes that he's out of touch, and he wants to appear like he's in the loop, that he's actually like reflecting what people are feeling and thinking, right? And I don't know, maybe it's all for show, but I'm seeing more and more on mainstream media that they're starting to understand that they're losing their audience, they're losing touch with their
Oh yeah,
audience. So people are going to just turn them off and stop listening until they start reflecting what people want to talk about. But
yeah,
you get yourself into a bind with that, because when you start doing that, then people start going, oh, they start waking up even faster. So like, uh, I don't know what the end goal of that is. I think what they're trying to do is like acknowledge that people are are smarter than they think they are, and that people are waking up to the real machinations that are happening behind the scenes. But once you do that, you get yourself into a bind, because you're actually acknowledging that people feel this way, even with Gaza, even with, right?
yes. Oh, that
How
well,
how many kind of pro Gaza, pro Palestinian, you know, commentators and viewpoints have been aired on mainstream media, and they prefer not to. They want to just blast all propaganda all day, but they're like, well, they know that nobody agrees with them, and nobody feels that. They don't want to lose their last remaining 10 people watching.
I agreed. And well, we see the rise of course Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, and Russell Brand bounced back. You don't hear anything more. Did any of those ladies file a lawsuit? A class action of any kind? Just went away, right?
It did,
Not heard.
although Russell Brand looks very shaken.
You think?
Yes, his energy. Have you noticed his energy on his shows?
I haven't seen him lately. Go ahead.
Yeah, the last couple of clips I've seen of him, he looks a little beaten down. He looks a little low energy,
Hmm.
and almost a little like, like he's in pain a little bit. And whereas he's a little more, Russell Brand's always like got this like high energy,
Right,
kind
right.
of like, this kind of like, I'm coming at you, here I come at you with the news, right? Like he's got that thing. But the last couple of clips I've seen of him, he's like, yeah, well, this is what they're saying, and this is, he's like kind of like subdued almost. I'm like, Russell, damn it. I think he really got hurt by that, like spiritually hurt. But
It could
anyway,
also be that that may be the tip of the iceberg of the kind of coercion that he's experiencing. We
yeah,
don't know.
right. Well, he got demonetized on YouTube, so that, I mean, that's a lot of money, right? He's got like 6 million followers on YouTube. Imagine what kind of money he's making from
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. I can't even imagine, but probably, you know, I don't know if like maybe he's making 5 figures a month from YouTube, at least, maybe 6 figures. I don't know if it's 6 figures, probably not, but like he might be up into the 5 figures a month on YouTube. That's a lot of money. That's a fucking lot of money, right? That he just lost. And so, he's
Yeah,
probably feeling that a little bit.
yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that at least the whole accusations weren't. I mean, like I said, when we were first talking about that, remember, so let's see if they follow civil lawsuits. Because if they don't, then this is just all political.
Right.
If you really want to get somewhere, you follow civil lawsuits and try and air it out and see what kind of compensation you can get. But we
Right.
didn't see that. So, this is a hit job, obviously, that was unsubstantiated the way I perceive it. But who knows? But anyway, what I also, speaking of changing like sentiment, some of the people I watch, like Dr. Alan Sabrowski or James Fetzer has his podcast, and I won't get into the issue, but just say there's other retired um, well, I should put it this way, retired police officers, veterans, you know how Fetzer is. That's his circle of guys, professors, and they're all talking about. I'm trying to not because we're on
You're all
YouTube.
talking about the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean. And that this needs to come out because this shows this is a pattern, and we can't fall for this again. We can't let this.
Yeah.
Jesus, you know what I mean. We can't.
Yeah.
Let
Well,
these
maybe it will be. You know, maybe it will. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a good chance of that.
Mhm.
Um, I hear plenty of other commentators out there saying that it looks like there we go, Poppy Davis. I was right. 5 figures, $61,000 a month on YouTube. 61 grand. That's just YouTube, right? So he's got other channels. He's got Rumble, whatever Rumble's paying him. I think they're paying him like several $1,000,000 to be on Rumble.
Oh, really?
But yeah, you know, so 61,000 is, you know, what is that a year? 7 million a year? Shit. Just from YouTube, that's a lot of money. He just lost a lot of money from being demonetized on YouTube. That's fucked up. Sorry for cussing. I don't mean it, you know, but anyways, no, I'm trying not to do that. But
But aren't
yeah.
they still selling advertising space? Doesn't he still do YouTube and they still profit off it still, even though he doesn't get anything? Am I right or wrong about that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's running, if he can control whether they run ads on it or not. But that's the thing about what YouTube is doing is fraud.
Right.
They're fraud. They're committing fraud. So I don't know. I haven't heard of anybody trying to get a lawsuit together against them. But I mean, especially if you're running ads and not paying somebody or demonetizing somebody, that you can't do that. But also the other things that they're doing, like shadow banning people and putting up false numbers and fake numbers, and I mean they've been doing that to me for years. I mean, and nobody, who they don't care about me, like, and who cares about my channel, but they've been pretty much just destroying. They pretty much destroyed my channel. Right, because right now it's showing that I have 26 viewers. I used to have like just a few years ago, when in COVID, I would do 2 streams a day, and I had like I had like 130 viewers on every day at least. And so they just decided, like, we're just gonna jack your channel. We're just gonna destroy your channel. And I don't know I can't tell you. I don't know, because the numbers are fake. I don't know how many people are actually watching. It could be double or triple this number. I have no idea. But they won't tell me. And they did that with my views too. I went from daily a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, daily I had between 1,000 and maybe, anywhere between 1,000 and 5,000 views on every one of my videos. And today it's like they'll tell me I have like 150 views on my videos. But they make, if they can make it look like nobody's watching you anymore, it's very effective. Because then people are like, oh, who's watching this channel? There's nobody here. Right? So like, it's just, and it can be demoralizing. It's a little soul crushing, right? Because you expect to get a certain amount of viewers or views on your video, or even, and I was actually getting money from YouTube too. And so you can't, how am I going to prove this necessarily? But that's the other thing too, is if they smash your views and you're getting ad money. So if they're collecting ad money for you, or they, you're running ads on your video, and you used to get a couple thousand views on your video a day, and you get a certain percentage of that, and you got a certain amount of money a month from that, and then then it's all the way down to like 150, right? So they're just they're committing fraud. They're committing fraud, right? Like they're not counting the views correctly. Then where's that money going, or whatever?
I think there's a definite agenda there, Kev, because, like, for example, you have the bigger YouTubes, the middle, like Jimmy Dore, Aaron Monte, that level. You got Russell Brand, and above that you got Joe, and then beneath those tiers you have the smaller. If they could crush off the smaller YouTubers like yourself, are willing to go deeper into issues that are touch and go issues and really anti establishment. I find, you know, and like in more detail. Although Jimmy does a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but they really do want to, like, to them. I think it's like crushing bugs. Like, we'll just keep stomping on these bugs here, just crushing these down, crushing these down.
Right,
And
it's what they're doing is effective enough, right?
yeah,
I'm like, they don't have to give me strikes, and they don't have to delete my channel. They just make my channel look very unpopular, right? And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you can make it feel like nobody's watching, then nobody watches. So it's just, and for a channel that's, has a few viewers, it's it can be demoralizing, right? Because you feel like you should be going in the other direction, but whatever. I mean, I'm over it. I'm over feeling angry about it. It's just what it is.
so listen. I've been kicked off YouTube, Telegram, and Twitter, and calling they won't let me publish. So I can relate. I've got the 3 strikes, and I used to be able to publish and call in, and I can't, no matter what fix they gave me to try. And now there's no one even to interact with. It used to be Charlie Weiser, but there's no one. So it is what it is. But so I appreciate. We don't know. Here's the thing. It's like the movie A Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart, Domino Reed, and Pottersville versus the savings and loan. We don't know who and how we affect. And this is true. We have no idea. Someday when we pass and we get our life review, you never know how many lives you help save. Speaking what you did have spoken about, the jab and everything.
Sure. No, and also, in a way, like I'm actually a little flattered that they actually go to such lengths for little old me.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, that's the funniest thing is like people have said that, tried to say that before to me, like, oh, well, nobody cares about you. You're just a little tiny No, who's listening to you? I was like, well, why do they try so hard to me?
Yes.
And why do they make it so obvious that they're doing this? Like, it just, and I'm like, well, I guess I must be over some target, because they wouldn't be doing this if I was just like saying something just completely inconsequential. Then then I'd be fine. All right, man. I gotta let you go, William, because I got some other things to do. But good talking with you.
Please check out the articles. Maybe next Friday we could talk a little more about it, and if you go to Rockland or something, you let me know.
For sure. Okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, man. All right, guys. I don't really get to everything I wanted to cover today at all, but maybe I'll cover it tomorrow. Oh, YouTube got you going south? Dang, sorry. Yeah. And why is it only that? I mean, I talk about a lot of other subjects, and I'm afraid to find out where I'm afraid to find out what the boundaries are. But like, I seem to be able to talk about all kinds of things, but whenever I go into that particular into COVID land, like for whatever reason, that's the one they like to slap me with. I don't know. I've been slapped a couple times with that. All right. So if you, I did get a tip on Rockfin. Sorry. Didn't mean to forget you. DB Cooper. Thank you. DB Cooper tipped me on Rockfin. Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate what you do. I appreciate you. Thank you, DB. I think people are watching on Twitter. I can't tell until the stream's over. They always tell me this is 0 viewers, but then like later on there'll be a bunch of viewers. Actually, a bunch of people watched yesterday's show, so that's cool. I had like twice as many viewers yesterday on Twitter than I usually do, or 3 times as many. I had a lot of viewers on Twitter yesterday, but they won't show me the viewers until the show's over. So I don't know. Can't tell you who's watching on Twitter, how many people are watching, but somebody's watching. Right. If you want to support the show, several ways to do it. buymeacoffee.com/BlackBurnNews, Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandblum, PayPal.me/Kevin Sandblum, Zelle at Kevin Sandblum, at ProtonMail.com. All right. And thank you guys. And I don't think I got any coffees today. Today, not yet. Okay. All right, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, peace. Oh, that's not the one. That's the one.